right, thank you everybody who's waited so long to hear the mayoral debate this evening, or the forum. I'd like to take a few moments before we begin just to talk about some information about the upcoming election. I don't have my lovely slides, but I'm going to wing it, and most of you already know that the offices that are up for election on June 7th are mayor, city attorney, city prosecutor, city auditor, council districts 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9, and LBUSD districts 1 and 5. So I'm trying to save time, so we're going to rush through a little bit. I just want to talk real quick about the importance of local elections. So when you vote in a local election, that is where you're making a huge impact on things that affect you in your daily lives. The money that gets spent on parks, streets, sewers, water, those are things that you have an impact on directly when you vote in local elections. So I encourage everybody here to share that information when you're talking with friends and family, and encourage them to vote in a local election. Some important dates for the June election. You maybe have received your sample ballot booklet, and today on May 9th is when the vote by mail ballots are being mailed out. They will be mailed out in waves, so if you don't get it right away, know that it is on the way. Everybody in Long Beach and LA County will be receiving a vote by mail ballot. That does not mean you have to vote by mail. You can still go to polling locations, vote centers, and we will have 31 vote centers in Long Beach. There will be 6 that are 11-day vote centers and 25 that are 4-day vote centers. We also have those lovely drop boxes throughout the city of Long Beach. We do have 17 drop box locations. So I'd encourage you to visit the table, the city clerk table on your way out. We have a listing of all those locations for the vote centers and the times and the hours of operation. And also, one last thing, if you have any questions or want more information on elections, you can visit longbeach.gov /cityclerk, or you can go to lavote.gov for more information. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to
Robin Perry.
Robin Perry. There you go.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Please welcome to the stage all of our candidates for mayor. Just as a reminder, this forum will follow a format where all candidates will be asked to make a 1-minute opening statement. Once each candidate has completed their opening statement, I will ask questions. In all, each candidate will be asked 5 questions. The first 3 questions were determined by Leadership Long Beach alums. If anyone in the audience wants to submit a question for consideration, get a card to one of our volunteers, write legibly on the card, and one of our volunteers will pick up that question. Please make sure you are directing your question for the mayor's race. Following the question and answer session, each candidate will then provide a 1-minute closing statement. Remember, this is a forum, not a debate, so no rebuttal statements will be permitted. Candidates, a yellow card will be held up for 15 seconds when there's 15 seconds remaining, and a red card will be held up when you're out of time. The intelligent, lovely, and talented CJ will hold those cards up, and she may yell if you go over time. Let's kick this off by introducing you to the 6 candidates who will seek to become the next mayor of Long Beach. I'll introduce them as they're listed on the Long Beach City Clerk's election website. Our first candidate is Deb Moser. Our second candidate is Raul Cedillo. Our third candidate is Franklin Sims. Our fourth candidate is Joshua Rodriguez. Our fifth candidate is Rex Richardson. And our final candidate is Susie Price, who is appearing virtually. Let's start with opening statements by Ms. Moser. Ms. Moser, 1 minute, please.
Working? Thank you for coming tonight. I'm Deb Moser, long-term Long Beach resident, businesswoman, mother, activist, and financial professional with 30 years experience in the private sector and a lifetime of community service and nonprofit advocacy. I've always placed my fiduciary responsibility to my clients above my own personal gain, and I will do the same as mayor. Transparency, accountability, and common sense solutions to the issues that face Long Beach today need to be our focus, rather than special interests or retaining political power. Long Beach needs a mayor that understands her role, has the qualifications necessary to manage the city's budget, attract new investment, and negotiate important contracts, and protect the city's assets and financial resources. I'm looking forward to answering your questions, and I am ready to engage conversation on the serious issues that face our city. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Moser. Mr. Cedillo, your opening statement. 1 minute, please.
Thank you so much, everybody. I'm actually kind of new to Long Beach. I moved here about 10 years ago. I've been married to my wife, actually, that same amount of time. We got married. We decided this is where we're going to live. I met her 12 years ago right here in Long Beach. We fell in love. Actually, we were kind of set up. We had seen each other's pictures, and we both thought, hey, she's good looking, he's good looking, and we made it happen, and here we are. We're raising a family together, obviously. For about the last 12 years or so, I've been dedicating my life to serving others. I've been working with nonprofits. I'm currently a teacher. I was also a Christian minister for a while. I've lived my life in service to others, and I think truly that's the essence of what it is to be a mayor. It's to serve others. And I'd hope to serve the community here and make Long Beach a better place. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cedillo. Mr. Sims, your opening statement. 1 minute, please.
Hello, everyone, and thank you to Leadership Long Beach for hosting this debate. My name is Franklin Sims. I'm running for mayor. I was raised here in Long Beach, educated here in Long Beach through Long Beach Unified School District, graduated from Cal State University of Long Beach, and my daughter, Shemaya Joy, she was born here in Long Beach, and now is following after Daddy's steps at the same middle school I was at. Guys, we are losing our local democracy here. And it's a problem, and that's why I'm running for mayor. I'm sure you saw the top two campaigns 2 weeks ago arguing over who got to $500,000 first. This election is about consultants, it's about developers, and it's about whether we're ready to take this city back. And we're going to talk about that for the next 30, 40 minutes or so.
Thank you, Mr. Sims. Mr. Rodriguez, your opening statement. 1 minute, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Leadership Long Beach. My name is Joshua Rodriguez. I'm a police officer, a Marine Corps veteran, served in the National Guard. I have a degree in organizational leadership. I have a beautiful wife at home that's pregnant with a boy on the way and a 5-year-old son. I joined this race because the city was looking at firing 40% of the police department. We cannot afford to lose any officers. We're down to 750 officers. We're supposed to be at 1,000. And, you know, our safety is important, of vital importance. On top of the fact that homeless has doubled in our city and nothing has been done. All I've ever heard is promises from the elected officials in the city government, and some action needs to be taken. Someone with a spine that has done everything that I've ever done is action. On top of the fact that we need transparency. We need to change the charter and make our police chief an elected position. We need to have quarterly reports of every city department for the public website, and that's what's important, is knowing where all our money is going and going to our infrastructure and being financially and fiscally responsible. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rodriguez. Mr. Richardson, your opening statement. 1 minute, please.
Sure, thank you. I'm Rex Richardson. I'm a husband. I'm a dad of 2 great kids. I'm Leadership Long Beach, class of 2010, and I'm vice mayor of the incredible city of Long Beach. Long Beach gave me an opportunity to come here as a young man, put down roots, and spend every day making our community a better place. I love this city. I believe that when you're given an opportunity, you have a responsibility to give back to our community. Growing up, my family moved around a lot. I moved here on a Greyhound bus, my single mom, 3 kids, and I know there's a lot of families just like mine here in Long Beach who just need an opportunity. And so that's what I focused on, delivering proven results. And so you'll see that in the Uptown Renaissance, delivering the Michelle Obama Neighborhood Library, the city's first municipal homeless shelter. We have big challenges ahead, but I'll tell you, by working together, we can ensure that we get our unhoused neighbors off the streets, get our economy back on track, ensure every neighborhood is healthy and safe. I know this because I've seen it in North Long Beach. I know that we've seen it over the past 2 years with our frontline workers. So thank you so much. And I'm Rex Richardson. I ask for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. And Ms. Price, hopefully you can hear me. 1 minute for an opening statement.
Thank you very much, and thank you for accommodating my virtual presence in tonight's forum. I really appreciate it. I've been the council person for the 3rd District for the last 8 years. During that time, I have focused on customer service and service over politics. For me, politics in the municipal level is about delivering core services to the residents and not focusing on the divisiveness that sometimes divides our community. I've been focused on constituent services and making sure that every resident feels heard, regardless of their political affiliation or whose side they're on given any particular issue. It's important for me to serve the residents every single day in the best way that we can, and I've done that well as a council person for the 3rd District, and I will do that well as your next mayor. Focusing on things like public safety and homelessness and economic development are things that I've done very well in the 3rd District for the last 8 years, and I'll do that as the next mayor. It's very important for me to understand what a beautiful city we have and the diversity that we have as reflected by the mayoral candidates before you.
Thank you, Ms. Price. Thank you, Ms. Price. Let's move on to our first question, and we'll start with Mr. Cedillo. Remember, you have 1 minute. At Leadership Long Beach, we believe in a set of principles that are essential to all great leaders. On the table in front of you is a list of those principles that we embrace. Please select one that resonates with you and tell us why.
Accountability. And the reason why is because I feel like that's one of the things that's lacking in local government. There's a mistake that's made and there's no accountability, there's no transparency. We want things to change. We want them to say, hey, we messed up. This needs to be addressed. We can improve. We can do better. But it doesn't seem to happen. And I think that's something that needs to change.
Thank you, Mr. Cedillo. Next, we'll have Mr. Sims. Same question. At Leadership Long Beach, we believe in a set of principles that are essential to all great leaders. On the table in front of you, there's a list of the principles that we embrace. Please select one that resonates with you and tell us why.
Robin, I think for me it's courage. You know, it took a lot of courage for me 6 years ago to stand up against Mayor Garcia and fight for Measure A because I was fighting for Long Beach families and Long Beach small businesses. And, you know, it was a great sacrifice to me because the mayor and his attorneys, they actually shut down my small business, but I kept fighting. Shootings, when they were going on in the city, and it got outrageous. And I thought that media wasn't covering it and wasn't holding city council members responsible for things happening in their districts. I got my iPhone and I went out late at night, kissed my daughter goodbye, and I would go out and I would record the truth. And I put it on Facebook, put it on Instagram, put it on Nextdoor so neighbors could see it and see the reality of it. So for me, it's courage, Robin. That's what it is.
Thank you, Mr. Sims. Mr. Rodriguez, on the table in front of you is a list of principles that we embrace. Please select one that resonates with you and tell us why.
Thank you. Service. All I've ever known is service to my country, to my community. I go out there because I represent you and I want the best for you. A quality of life, a safe neighborhood. I don't want anyone being violated by any criminal. And that's what resonates with me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rodriguez. Mr. Richardson.
Thank you. I selected two. My first is compassion. I think there are a lot of families in Long Beach, just like mine, who are living one crisis away from living on the street. And I think that it's important for leaders to understand where people are coming from. And the second is teamwork. I'm a collaborative leader. I know how to get things done by working together. No one in North Long Beach has ever been elected mayor, city attorney, anything. The reason we've been able to build libraries and the city's first homeless shelter was simply by building coalitions. That's why I'm proud that the majority of the members of the Long Beach City Council, the Long Beach School Board, and Community College have endorsed my campaign for mayor of Long Beach. So as mayor, I'll be a collaborative leader that brings people together to overcome our city's greatest challenges. Thank you.
Thank you. And turning to Ms. Price, Ms. Price, at Leadership Long Beach, we believe in a set of principles that are essential to all great leaders. I believe you have in front of you a list of those principles that we embrace. Please select the one that resonates with you and tell us why. 1 minute, please.
Thank you. I would choose integrity. I think I've demonstrated over the last 8 years that I always do what I believe is right after careful consideration and balancing all of the different interests and viewpoints. Sometimes that means you go along with everyone else because it's the right thing to do, but sometimes it means you stand up and you lodge your independent voice to protect the interests that you hold dear and the values that you hold dear for your community. I've been proud to do that over the last 8 years, working collaboratively with my partners when my partners on the council and with the community, and also being able to stand up and not be afraid to do the right thing, even if it means sometimes it's the unpopular thing, like voting against the Queen Mary as the sole voice in opposition of giving $23 million to Urban Commons. Sometimes you have to do what's right, not just what's popular.
Thank you very much, Ms. Price. Ms. Moser, which one of the principles would you embrace?
I agree with Susie, integrity. Your word is your reputation, and a good leader needs to always be honest, even when they have made a mistake or when they think that something might reflect negatively on them. The constituent is going to be my client. I will always make sure that I'm not perfect, and I know that constituents don't expect perfection, but you will always get honesty. And that is, I think, in an elected leader, I think it's the most important characteristic that you have.
Thank you very much, Ms. Moser. We're going to move on to our next question. We're going to start with you, Mr. Sims. If elected, what will you accomplish in the first 100 days?
The first 100 days, what I'm going to accomplish is a hard tackle on our homelessness crisis. You know, one of the biggest things I want you guys to leave here with regarding homelessness is that we've effectively trapped the homeless in Long Beach. What has happened is the Housing Authority is giving the homeless vouchers. The problem is there's no place to use those vouchers inside of Long Beach, and they can't be used in other areas, in other cities. So effectively, we've given a homeless person something that they can't even use. It's that sort of nonsense that my leadership is going to get in front of. Believe it or not, our city does not have a homelessness plan, doesn't have one. So in the first 100 days, Robin, that's what you're going to see me do.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sims. And we're going to hold our applause to the very end. Thank you. Mr. Rodriguez, let me repeat the question. If elected, what will you accomplish in your first 100 days?
In my first 100 days, everything's about exactly what I said about my platform. Public safety is my #1. We have 140% year-to-date in homicides. You know, those are people that are dying in our streets. It has to stop. The people that commit crimes, there has to be consequence because everyone here is affected, but when someone becomes a victim. On top of the fact that our homeless crisis has doubled. And so in the first 100 days, I would seek on getting California to declare our homeless crisis an emergency in tandem with LA County to get the National Guard out and work with the law enforcement, with nurse practitioners, doctors, to start housing those people that are gravely disabled in our community and get them off the street immediately. That's going to be a huge task that shouldn't just fall on the citizens of Long Beach. It's just a big burden that we cannot, afford on our own because we're $56 million backwards. And then again, transparency. I want to know where every single dollar is in Long Beach so we can be accountable for you and that we're not overspending and keep digging in your pockets. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rodriguez. What will you accomplish in your first 100 days, Mr. Richardson?
Thank you. Homelessness and the rising cost of housing is the #1 issue facing our city. So in the first 100 days, I'm going to implement my plan on housing, which is publicly available. The first thing we'll do is call for a Long Beach housing promise. It's a partnership with our educational institutions to ensure that as the city produces housing, students on free and reduced lunch have first access to the housing that the city builds. And then we partner to explore those opportunities. We'll also work to localize mental health services in our city. The next thing we'll do as a part of my economic recovery plan, which is also on my website, is establish a deputy mayor of economic recovery. We are not out of the woods yet. Our city still has a long way to go. We have a number of residents who make, families who make under $70,000 a year who are being impacted by homelessness, unemployment, rising cost of housing, and we need to make sure we're laser focused on getting our economy back on track. So those will be my focuses on mayor. As mayor, visit my website, joinrexrichardson.com, to read my plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Richardson. Ms. Price, what will you accomplish in your first 100 days?
Thank you, Robin. So the first thing we have to do is get to work immediately on homelessness and public safety. In regards to homelessness, I have the privilege in the day job that I have to oversee all of our homeless court, collaborative court, and street outreach programs. And I'll tell you, every community is not seeing an increase like I expect we will see in Long Beach. There are communities that are tackling this correctly. And what we need to do is scale up our street outreach team so that we can have consistent street outreach in every single district, because every district is experiencing this problem. They need to work longer than 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday, because people experience homelessness after 5 and on the weekends. And we need to make sure that we have a very robust street outreach program. We do not have that right now. That would be the first thing I would do. And we could use nonprofits to do that street outreach. The second thing would be to offer retention bonuses to our police officers who are on the cusp of retirement, to keep them here while the new academy class graduates and is back in the patrol cars and patrolling our neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Price. And you're up, Ms. Moser. If elected, what will you accomplish in the first 100 days?
The first thing I would do is address the homelessness situation. I would immediately stop the police cleanouts that are happening all the time throughout the city, where people are the homeless are being moved around simply to basically hide them. That's incredibly expensive. I think it's dubiously constitutional. So I would immediately stop that. We need a task force. We need to determine if our multi-service center is actually adequate for the number of homeless that we just counted about a month or so ago. We need to make sure that we're allocating our resources where they're needed in the communities where they're needed. We have one multi-service center. We need another one in North Long Beach. Putting somebody on a 5-year waiting list for housing is not a solution. Vouchers are not enough. Moving them to somebody else's neighborhood is not enough. We need to do something immediately to solve this problem compassionately. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Cedillo, first 100 days.
Eviction moratorium will be permanent. Housing is a human right. There will be no more increases in gentrification or homelessness. We will increase the minimum wage on an annual basis based on inflation and rise of cost of living. There will be rent control, mental health services. We will decriminalize natural substances because this is affecting BIPOC communities. It's an issue of social justice, racial equity, and immigration rights. We're going to run like hell right out of the gates.
And Mr. Cedillo, we're going to keep it right there with you for question number 3. What can you do as mayor to connect and engage our diverse communities in Long Beach?
Well, I think part of it is visiting those communities, going out and going door to door, going to the laundromats, going to the parks, creating events for people to come and see us at City Hall. Why don't we offer free food and drinks and free transportation so that more people can actually come and take part in City Hall decisions? These are things that aren't happening right now, and a lot of people within our communities are not taking part in it. As an educator, one of the things that I've learned is out of the 14 years our students spend in schools from elementary to high school, less than 3 months of that is learning about government. They know nothing about government. They don't realize the importance of government. So we need to bring them in, and that'll be my job. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question for you, Mr. Sims. What can you do as mayor to connect and engage our diverse communities here in Long Beach?
Robin, that's what I've been doing throughout my campaign. Got this little cart, I call her Perseverance, and we have been trailing this city. And just yesterday, Saturday, we were in Kings Park, and you should have seen the families out there, families that have been displaced from that park. They were there embracing one another in love and harmony and felt safe bringing their children. 2 weeks from now, we're going to be with the PI community who feel like they have not been recognized in the city of Long Beach. You know, debate after debate, I leave with so many community members. Just yesterday, after MOLA, Cambodian community came to me, Franklin, we want to support you. I'm that bridge. I really am.
Thank you very much. Ms. Price, what can you do as mayor to connect and engage our diverse communities in Long Beach?
Thank you, Robin. As you can see by the candidates that are standing before you and me virtually, what an amazing diversity that we have, that all of us who probably would have never had a chance to do something like this are standing before you asking for your support for this election. I can tell you that the first thing that I will do is make sure that I meet with every single community organization throughout the city of Long Beach as the mayor, and I'll do that immediately the day after the election. We need to find out what are the individual needs in each community and how do we solve for those issues that they have and make everyone feel that their voice is heard in the city of Long Beach. I'll continue to have my monthly community meetings like I do now, but they'll be citywide, and I'll continue to have conversations about council items before they're on the agenda and before the votes have been counted so that every resident has a voice and feels that their government is being heard. We have a beautifully diverse city, and the only way that we're going to thrive together is by understanding what the individual needs in each community are without judgment. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Moser, same question. As mayor, what can you do to engage our diverse communities here in Long Beach?
One of the business projects that I'm currently working on involves the production of cultural music, arts events that can be held. We're organizing one at the port right now. These are going to be more like culture festivals where we'll have different, it'll be, you know, all different kinds of people being brought together. That's one way. The other is that 12 years ago I was privileged enough to be able to spearhead a program called Youth Ambassador Los Angeles, and I want to bring that program to Long Beach. That's it's a mentorship program that would be directed at the city council level. The city council office would help determine the candidates. They would come from all walks of life in different areas. The program I spearheaded boasts a 100% matriculation to college. And it's a really good program to bring all levels of people together and children. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Richardson, same question.
Thank you. I think diversity is important. Having a seat at the table is certainly important, but I think what's more important is what's being spoken at that table. In Long Beach, we have deep disparities. The 9th District, the 1st District have never had a seat on our budget committee on City Council in the history of our city. The 6th District has only served on that committee for 2 years in the history of our city. The reality is there's a 17-year difference in life expectancy. So we can praise our diversity as much as we want, but we have to look at the data and we have to lead with inclusion and equity. That's why I'm proud to have led the creation of the Office of Equity. During COVID-19, when we saw devastating impacts in our communities, we were able to lead with an equity lens by understanding from a language standpoint, a resource, a health and equity standpoint, how to best serve our communities. So from policy, program, and funding, we need to lead with equity and investment. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. And Mr. Rodriguez, what can you do as mayor to connect and engage our diverse communities here in Long Beach?
I think the city's had grand strides at doing this, and so we want to perpetuate this as well. And so we want to bring our communities closer. One of the ideas I want to, introduce to the city is start allocating parts of the parks for community gardens to bring people together, because you have different cultures, different people, growing different things and bringing them close together, along with the Concert of the Park, and continue bringing concerts and art festivals to Long Beach, as well as cleaning the environment. LA River is filthy, and the people on the west side of Long Beach, get the bad end of the stick. And so I want to make it clean for them and have their community brought up as well, so we can have an equal amount of cleanliness for the whole city. And thank you.
Thank you very much, and we'll stick with you, Mr. Rodriguez, as we get started with our audience question. And thank you in advance to the audience for these wonderful questions. Mr. Rodriguez, the city lost a lawsuit because the police were targeting gay men in public restrooms. What are your thoughts?
Again, if it's proven, people need to be held accountable. Again, I'm a police officer, so professionalism is my number one. Again, you look at my record, no suspensions. Yes, I've been in trouble. Yes, I've said bad things before and gotten in trouble for it because, again, in the heat of the moment, sometimes you make mistakes. I've been kicked in the chest and called someone an MFer, and I didn't want to, and again, I'm human. And so, but those little mistakes versus the big mistakes, again, like Nick Liddy said earlier, when an officer commits a crime against a person, they're not enforcing the law. They shouldn't be in law enforcement. They should be held accountable and go to jail. They shouldn't be a cop. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rodriguez. Mr. Richardson, Long Beach has a notoriously low voter turnout rate, in large part because people don't feel heard. What ideas do you have to engage non-voters so they feel heard in your decision-making?
Sure. The reason our voter turnout has been so low is because it's systemic. We voted off cycle with the state when largely the majority of our city doesn't pay attention and doesn't vote. And the city just aligned based on state law with June and November. Here's the difference with aligning elections. In my first race, about 2,000 people voted in the 9th District. Last year, under the new voting system, 12,000 people, almost 11,500 people in the 9th District voted, from 2,000 to 11,500. There are a whole lot of districts in our city, just like the 9th District, who want to participate, but these are working families. And so by making our election system more inclusive, we engage more people. We have an electorate that's more reflective of our population. And so that's what we're going to see in this election. This November, we're going to see more people vote in our mayor's race than any time in the history of our city. And I think that that is a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Richardson. Ms. Price, what is your vision to unify the underserved parts of Long Beach, North, Central, and West, with resources to grow the next generation?
Thank you, Robin. I think it's really important, first and foremost, that those communities are at the table and talking about what they actually need, where the deficiencies are, and how the city can better serve them. I think there's a lot of rhetoric and a lot of talk that we often have and a lot of assumptions, but I think it's very important for us to understand what do people need to thrive and what do communities need to feel integrated and what resources are going to help them there. Things like public safety, homelessness, and economic development seem to be consistent among every community that I talk to, articulated differently for sure, but making sure that we're engaging with those communities in a meaningful way with regular face-to-face meetings to talk about what those needs are is critical. I will have a transition team in every council district for every community that will focus on what the needs are, where the disparities are, and what we need to do to plan ahead to make sure that everyone thrives in the city of Long Beach.
Thank you, Ms. Price. Ms. Moser, as the mayor, it's a big title, but you have limited powers. How would you lead city council and the community to accomplish your goals?
That's a really good question. I think that the role of the mayor is to ensure that the city is economic development, to make sure that we have a budget that is adequate to service all the needs of the city. And that is the best way that I can do is to make sure that I have a healthy city, one that's making money, no budget deficit, so that I know that when the city council members decide they need a program and they want to vote for it, I can provide the resources for them to accomplish their goals. I want to leave the actual job of finding out what the local communities need to our very talented city council and make sure that I allow them to have the ability to accomplish those goals. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Moser. Mr. Cedillo, excuse me. The Queen Mary's been in the news quite a bit of late. What are your ideas for the Queen Mary property?
I think any drain of public funds would be a waste on a ship when it could be going towards public services or social services to help the community, especially those that have been underserved for many, many years. As far as saving the Queen, as many like to say. I think it's important that we reach out to federal government and have them declare it a national monument and have them place it in their care and then take over.
Thank you. Mr. Sims, do we need more public transit here in Long Beach? And if so, how would you bring more public transit here?
We definitely need more public transit in Long Beach because we can't seem to find any place to park. But we also have to be realistic, and that is that when you live in California, you want to drive a car. When our city decided on our transportation plan, they made an assumption that we were going to ride scooters and electric bikes, and we didn't. We bought more cars. So what I'm going to do when I get in office is I'm going to be realistic about what's actually happening. And we can work with the state and the federal government about bringing in public transportation, but let's be honest and realistic about what it is we actually do, what we actually want, and stop forcing things that are unrealistic onto people. Let's keep it real.
Thank you very much. We're going to go to our very last question of the night before closing statement. And the question is for Mr. Richardson. How will you go about representing the entire city, not just the area you live in?
Thanks so much. I'm a collaborative leader with a proven track record of results delivering for my district, the entire city as vice mayor, and our entire region as immediate past president of the Southern California Association of Governments. When big challenges occur, I've been there, particularly over the past 2 years. When we found ourselves in a homeless crisis, I leaned in and led the creation of the city's first municipal homeless shelter. When we saw the pandemic on our footsteps, I was there making sure our health department had the resources they needed in order to respond, stand up testing and vaccination across our entire city, not just my council district. Moving forward, the challenge is going to be great, but the mayor is only as good as his relationship to work with others. And that's why I'm proud to have support of the entire city council, the majority of the members of city council rather, school board and college board. Homelessness is going to be our biggest issue. The county is going to be our biggest partner. I'm proud to have the support of Supervisor Janice Hahn and a majority of the members of the LA County Board of Supervisors. By collaborating, we can overcome the challenges our city faces. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Richardson. Ms. Price, what is your position on the city hiring reentry individuals who have paid their debt to society and have redeemed themselves?
I absolutely support doing so. I'm very, very proud that as a prosecutor of 23 years, I am now on the forefront of many of our criminal justice reform initiatives in the district attorney's office. I'm the only prosecutor that attends all of my own parole hearings, and I'm the only prosecutor who advocates for parole release and actively helps those who are currently in custody help develop realistic parole plans so that when they are released from custody, they can have housing and access to jobs. I routinely get involved in connecting them with the trades, and I believe that people who are released back into custody, from custody back into the community should have every opportunity to be able to get a job and get stable housing. I'm committed to that endeavor. I will work very hard on that. I'm doing that right now in my day job, and I'll continue to do that. And I have a whole group of parolees who are supporting me in this election because I've helped them enter back into the community and helped write letters of recommendations to get them jobs. And the city of Long Beach should embrace those opportunities.
Thank you very much, Ms. Price. Our question is for you, Ms. Moser. Some say that we've lost our way in this country when it comes to civility in politics, not to mention in everyday life. How will your behavior reflect a higher level of respect for everyone?
Yeah, and this is my first time running for public office, and it really is an awakening. They say politics is ugly, but you never realize how ugly it really can be until you're in the middle of it with all the social media. I really think that we need to start fresh, realize that we all have opinions, we have differences of opinions, we disagree on issues, but we need to speak respectfully because nobody gets the message when you're bad-mouthing them or speaking poorly about them. It needs to be positive. That is definitely, I think, something that the city of Long Beach has lost.
Thank you very much. Mr. Cedillo, as you have run for mayor and you've canvassed the city, what is the story that you will remember most about what you've heard from one of the residents?
I think what I'll remember most is the excitement that a lot of them feel that a regular Joe just like them is running for office. There's that connection when we speak about how I had a life where I was unhoused. I lived in my car. There was also, I lost everything. There was also a moment where I was living in a small trailer with no electricity, no heat. I slept on the floor. I couldn't afford a bed. And I would eat maybe once or twice a day. But my story is not unique. A lot of people within our community are going through that same thing. And you will see cars line up at night of people that camp in their cars because that's the way that they live. So there's that connection of someone who actually knows our lives is running to change that. And that's what I make. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Sims, what do you think about rent control here in Long Beach? Is it a good idea?
Rent control in Long Beach. I think where we are in rent control is, I don't think we can move from it right now. And I think what we have to be very leery of when it comes to rent control is that we have to make sure that when we adopt a rent control policy in Long Beach, that it is not used by developers to actually take the property and then develop property that no one can afford. That happened in Santa Monica. It happened in other cities. So you have to be careful when you see a bright, shiny object, because we've been duped several times when it comes to affordability and affordable housing. And it's been our city council members who voted for these things that have always left renters out. We gotta find a way for more of our renters to become homeowners. That has to be our objective. We need home ownership back in the city of Long Beach.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sims. And our final question before we go into closing statements is for you, Mr. Rodriguez. Assuming that you're elected and you serve for 4 years, what will be different in 4 years than is happening here in Long Beach today?
Again, I can't make many promises, but I can tell you my focus is our public safety. Again, we deserve the utmost safety. We spend so much money as taxpayers, as residents, to invest into the city, and we shouldn't be walking down the street and seeing defecation, urination, masturbation, all these things that we've come to know and become normal, which are not normal. Again, on top of the fact that we have people just dying in our street literally every day. And so those things I will hyper focus on top of the fact that our government serves us, serves you. And so we want our government to be 100% transparent with you about everything they do. No more private meetings, no more Zoom calls, no more hiding in offices. It's time for accountability, and I hope to bring the city back into a better state so we're not repeating these questions or talking about the same subject again, and we're looking forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rodriguez. That was our final question of the night. We'll now move to our closing statements. Please remember you have 1 minute, and we're going to get started with you, Ms. Price. 1 minute to make a closing statement.
Thank you, everyone. I wish I were there to see you in person and have the opportunity to talk with you in person, but this is the best that we can do, and I appreciate the accommodation. I've spent 8 years of my life in the city of Long Beach committed to service over politics. I've led with integrity, I've led with truth, and I'm grateful for the relationships that I've built and the work that I have done in my district. I think the type of council person that I have been in my district is the type of mayor that you will expect from me. I will be responsive, I will be honest, I will stay clear of politics and do the right thing for the residents of this city. I have no political aspirations outside of this city, and to me, serving the city of Long Beach is a pleasure and the American dream that my mother and I could have only dreamed of when I immigrated here at the age of 7. I'm grateful for the work that I've done with the amazing staff that I've had, with the amazing colleagues that I've had the pleasure to work with. But I think it's important that we have someone in the position who is committed to service over politics. And I can assure you that that's who I am and that's what I'm about. And the only support or endorsement that matters to me the most is that of you.
Thank you,
all
Mrs.
the
Price.
voters.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Ms. Moser, let's hear your closing statement. 1 minute, please.
I'm the only candidate that has an actionable plan to restore the Queen Mary and return her to full operations within a year or two without the use of taxpayer money. I believe that the economic development platform that I have is going to bring a lot of opportunity, jobs, and money into the city. I can guarantee you that one thing that will be different after 4 years in office with me as Moser is going to be a much stronger balance sheet. I can guarantee you that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moser. Mr. Cedillo, your closing statement, please.
I'm really happy to see the number of people that came out and that take interest in their city and that love that you have for our community. I thank you, especially to listen to us with our demagoguery or whatever, what have you. But I just want to say, I hope you'll consider electing me. I'm a regular Joe. I'm the underdog in this race. I've raised way less money than everybody else here. And not only that, but I think it's important that our government start taking a good look at our people and the struggle, and also the voices that haven't been heard. Many of our communities are underserved. In the last election, maybe there was a 15% turnout, and that's got to change. So I hope you'll help me change that. People before profits. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Cedillo. Mr. Sims, your closing remarks, please.
You guys, our city's failing in a lot of ways. We're failing on homelessness. We're failing on policing. We're even failing on potholes. You know, I hope you were paying attention if you were here at the beginning. We had a city prosecutor who's running again after 12 years. We had a city auditor. She wants another 4 years after 16. Susie, she's been in office for 8 years. Rex, he's been in City Hall for 12 years. Guys, we need a clean slate. We need new blood. It's time. I'm pleading with you. I would like you to go to Franklin for Long Beach. It's on Instagram, it's on Facebook. Franklin, the number 4, Long Beach. I got a ton of videos, you gotta watch them because they'll help you decide that Franklin Sims is the candidate of choice.
Thank you, Mr. Sims. Mr. Rodriguez, your closing statement, please. 1 minute.
Thank you, everyone, for the opportunity, and thank God for, calling me to do this, and my family for supporting me. So, again, the question I have for all of you, are you happy with your city government? Do you think they're effective? Why are we asking these questions over and over every single election season? And again, I'm tired of it, and so I stood up, to fight against it. I only have 10 years on. I'm not even invested in my pension. But you know what? A sacrifice for a good public servant in the city that's sitting in the mayor's office that represents you and doesn't just sway to whatever the wind blows towards them is what you need. And I hope to be that candidate for you. Again, the people that have been in office have been ineffective and have been manipulative, and I don't appreciate it. And so I'm standing up. Please give me the chance to get the city back in order. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rodriguez. And Mr. Richardson, your closing statement.
Well, thanks so much again for having us. I'm proud of my record, standing up for our city at very difficult times. I have a proven track record of delivering for North Long Beach and our entire city. I'll make City Hall more responsive to all of our needs. The challenges are big, But when we work together, there's nothing that we can't overcome. I know this because I've seen it. I've seen it over the past 2 years with our city employees and our frontline workers standing up, putting shots in arms, putting groceries on the table, making sure that no family is left behind during this pandemic. By working together, we'll make sure we get our unhoused neighbors off the street. We'll get our economy back on track. We'll make sure every community is healthy and safe, and that's why I'm proud to be supported by our nurses and our firefighters. We'll prepare for a changing climate. That's why I'm proud to be supported by our Sierra Club and our environmental voters. We'll make sure every family has what they need to thrive. That's why I'm proud to be the only candidate endorsed by the Democratic Party. Let's work together to make our City Hall more responsive to your needs. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Councilman Richardson. This concludes our forum for those candidates seeking to be the next mayor of Long Beach. Please join me in thanking these courageous candidates, and good luck to everyone.
Thank you. You can step down from the stage. And as they are stepping down, I want to thank all the candidates who came here today to share. We had 19 candidates share. And thank you for speaking directly to the community members so that we can make an informed decision. Some reminders of big dates. May 9th, vote by mail ballots are mailed. May 17th through the 28th, sample ballots booklets are mailed. May 23rd is the last day to register to vote, so please register. May 28th, that's when you can go to voting centers to start voting. And then June 7th is the actual election day. So this concludes our forum. Want to thank Leadership Long Beach again for hosting us tonight. Thank you to the Aquarium of Pacific for providing this lovely facility. They are also providing validation for your parking, so please pick one up as you are leaving. And finally, I'd like to thank all of you for sticking it through. We really appreciate your thoughtful questions and being able to be engaged as we are voting together for our next leadership in our city. So thank you all and have a good evening.
Thank you so much, and a big round of applause for our moderators tonight. Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Susanna. And to all of the volunteers who put this on, Jeff Williams, Colleen Bentley, Cecile Harris-Walters, CJ Harmetz, John Glaza, Kathy Geis, Kim Armstrong, Rolando Cruz, our honorary board of governors, our youth leadership Long Beach folks. It really took an army of volunteers to bring this to you tonight, and I could not be more grateful. Thank you all so much.